thank you. You're welcome. And we're going to continue our full read. Yeah, we're on chapter 6. Yes. The comments in the chat there? On which one? Yeah, I know. That's for some people in the audience. Or just so they can translate it. Yeah, because they know what's going on around here. A lot of the activists and spiritual fucks associated to those audiences. We've been telling you this for years. Okay, in fact, we said that gentleman's name to the sick fuck back around 2011 and 2012, and he got pissed off and threw my phone. Why is that? Right, so we could care less. When people understand these businesses and networks, and when you look at their audiences, and they're full of fucking psychos, and people that believe in ghosts and aliens and this spiritual fucking bullshit, and it's gross and it's disgusting, and the fact that they don't seem to fucking get it is gross, and how people don't just explain it on a mainstream level, understanding how many years and decades so many people have been getting killed and targeted trying to get simple basic education into our systems, and we've been fighting these fucking psychos, and they depend on those fucking psychos pushing their bullshit and fearing us. Now we're going to make them eat maggots or drink carrot juice and get rid of all the life-saving medications. You sick fucks. Right, so anyways, I'm very sorry, if you don't like the way we word it sometimes. But we know they're listening and watching. And we know a lot of times it does not get put into the public chat. We're blocked on most chats. If you can't see over the years, especially since the private investigator shot himself in 2009. And some of these networks, Facebook was just being created actually around that time. Right, so, I mean, a lot of that didn't even exist. Right, so yeah, we understand and we know we get blocked from a lot of those chats, and they'll make it look like it's being posted and nobody else can see it, and to us it looks like it gets posted, right? We understand that. They still see it, and the moderators see that, and that's what's important. You know, because that's pretty much who we're talking to. A lot of their audience members are just innocent victims going along for the ride, really believing whatever fucking childish bullshit they believe. Whatever. Grab your rocks or take your Prozac, whatever you gotta do. And see, I like rocks. I really like rocks, you know? Right, so I mean, it's like, there you go. Just like we love dogs. Drugs. Very important. Amazing, actually, discoveries. We're very grateful for all of those things. It's amazing. All of life. Right, so when we say we have sick fucks that put their drugs and dogs ahead of children being abused, it doesn't mean we don't like drugs and dogs. It would be as though, say, kids are burning in the car and people don't want to look at it, and they're just walking up the street licking their ice cream cone. These fucking assholes care more about ice cream than they do the kids, right? Oh, now they got something against ice cream. They're trying to get rid of ice cream. Right, it's that kind of stupidity we've been dealing with, and then people actually fall for it and fear, no, and they really love their ice cream and don't want that to be taken. Right, so that's exactly what we've been dealing with here for years, and it's amazing we haven't lost our shit. We were in a traumatized psychosis about it over 15 years ago. You're not gonna fucking tell us shit. It's amazing we've survived the murder attempts over the years. You sick fucks. Right, so anyways, my name's Mary. We're at the Governor Hill Mansion in Augusta, Maine. I have 4 children here. My youngest 2 are in the hands of sick, murderous pedophiles, and we will keep speaking out until the proper authorities do what they're supposed to do to help them. Get our reading voice on. I know, that voice for class, I mean, you can tell, right? You know, sometimes people, when they do different kinds of work or presentations or singing or whatever it is, where they have to use their voice a lot, a higher tone, they were yelling a lot, whatever it is. The next day, oh, my voice, right? For days, it's cracking. Right, so to even speak like that is really high for us. Even this right now, we're speaking louder than our normal. Right. So when you understand that, it makes sense, doesn't it? It's just simple things to learn about. Right. Oh, so I probably don't want to keep screaming then. And then if I lose my voice, am I going to blame you? And say, I was yelling because of what you did. You destroyed my voice. You made my voice hurt. What is it that actually hurts? If you overuse your voice, is it the throat? The larynx? What is it? I don't know. Did you look up hagiographers? Yeah. Revolution. We'll just start chapter 6. We did the first few paragraphs. The country might never become a nation. Okay, so we won't just start it over. We'll start where we left off. You're welcome. Thank you. We have some water here. We just had a mint tea. We might have another tea in a little bit. While Nuno was in Santarem, the revolution, which he had suggested, was being plotted in Lisbon. The Master Diaviz, after much hesitation, consented to assassinate Andario. He reconciled the assassination and his conscience by the thought that Andario was running Portugal, and that as the brother of the dead king he had to pronounce sentence of execution. Queen Lenora was a traitor. I don't know how much I'll be able to read, my voice is pretty cracky. All is good, not complaining, just saying. Let's see, Queen Lenora was a traitor. The Master Diaviz, whose name was Don John I, the same as that of the King of Castile, was much of the character of Nuno. He had never been absorbed by the wickedness of the court. Indeed, his natural virtue and ability had been greatly heightened in reaction to the excesses of his older brother, Ferdinand. That was perhaps the strongest reason why King Ferdinand had hated him. As the Master Diaviz, Don John had a vow of celibacy because the Order of Aviz, of which he became Grand Master at the age of 13, was one of those chivalrous orders. Oops, I think I skipped a page. No, was one of those chivalrous orders between the military and the religious, which restricted its members to celibacy and to the exercise of arms. It was an order dedicated to the ideals which Nuno had already voluntarily realized. Can you involuntarily realize something? I didn't even mean to acknowledge that. I wish I hadn't seen that. I didn't even mean to see that. I'm sorry. Right, we had you just involuntarily smile. Lose weight. It wasn't my choice, it just kind of happened. I wasn't like consciously making an effort to do that, I guess it just kind of happened. Or vice versa, yeah. I didn't mean to get angry, I involuntarily got angry. I mean, to me it doesn't make sense. I mean, if you realize anything, it's on your own recognizance, right? I'm having an issue with this, but I think I get what they mean. Well, okay, because it's saying he voluntarily realized. Right, so I'm saying, how could you involuntarily realize something? It doesn't make sense to me. Why didn't they just say he'd already realized the voluntarily isn't needed? So, oh, kind of like me saying that's funny when I laugh. Well, whatever. Fair enough. Yes, thank you. We're about 10 minutes in here. I said I'd do at least 20 minutes. See if I can get through chapter 6. Yeah, one of my teeth that was chipping too, it's really sharp. It's digging into my tongue, and that's actually bothering me worse than the infection itself. Yeah, so anyways, pressure was brought to bear upon the Master Diaviz, especially by the elderly Alvaro Pays. The old statesman knew how great was his influence on the people, and he brought the Master of Aviz to do away with Count Andario and to give the people a good government. Finally, for the supreme good of his country, the Master of Aviz seemed ready to perform the reckless deed that would precipitate the revolution. Through her agents, Lenora knew that a plot was being made, but she had no idea of its extent. In order to remove the Master Diaviz, she appointed him to a distant military command to govern the fortress of Almentijo. Don John saw nothing to do but go. 2 days' journey out of Lisbon, on the way to Almentijo, Don John was debating with himself. He recalled all the arguments that had been torturing his mind and heart ever since the betrothal of the Infanta Beatrice. Suddenly it occurred to him that were the extent of the conspiracy to be discovered, even though it were not being carried out, he and Alvaro Pays and all others who constituted Portugal's only hope would be put to death. Transfixed by his realization, he ordered his troops about and retraced the road to Lisbon. Before him, he sent a secret envoy to Alvaro Paz, advising the statesmen to be prepared for all they had planned. He arrived in the capital at night, despite the hour he made immediate application for an audience with Lady Lenora. He said that he wished to have some explanations from her regarding the charge entrusted to him in Alemtejo. The audience was set for the morning of December 6th between 9 and 10 o'clock. Just to his rank with 20 armed attendants, the Master of Aviz arrived at the palace. When he came to the apartments of the Queen, the guards did not wish to let his 20 armed men attend him. Silently, Don John and his men pushed past and entered the hall. The 20 men grouped themselves near the rear wall, and the Master of Aviz, then but 25 years of age, advanced alone, his face pale but otherwise revealing nothing. He bowed profoundly before Lenora. The Queen was dressed in deep mourning, which only enhanced her great beauty. She was seated in a large armchair, almost a throne, upon a low platform. As Don John had expected, Count Andario was at her side, and there were several ladies and lords of the court seated to the right and left. Andario was standing. He was a tall, handsome man, clean-shaven, in the full vigor of his 40 years. Yeah, one moment. It is snowing really good. I'll actually turn it this way so you can see the snow. Oh, you're welcome. Okay. How's that? Good? Yeah. Good size flakes. Got small ones, medium, and big ones. Not extra big ones or extra big ones, but small, medium, and large for sure.
was standing, he was a tall, handsome man, clean-shaven, in the full vigor of his 40 years. Lenora indicated the master of Aviz to be seated. I'm going to sit over here so I don't feel like I have to talk so loud. Lenora indicated the master of Aviz to be seated. "Well," she said, "what news have you? Why have you turned back?" Not losing sight of Andirio, Don John began his prepared speech about the necessity of knowing more concerning his appointment to Alentejo. As he enumerated various plausible doubts concerning the mission, he seemed to all present to have come for no other purpose. The courtiers, who had seemed a bit strained, relaxed in their chairs. The queen, with whatever violence her heart was beating in presentiment of the tragedy, dissimulated her anxiety. Andirio endeavored to show himself even more indifferent, and when the difficulties concerning Alentejo had been cleared, he invited Don John to dinner. "I'm sorry," said the Master d'Aviz, rising, "but I have another engagement." "Please," Andirio insisted, stepping down. "I shall give the order to set additional places," and the Count started for the side door. With a quick step, Don John was at his side. "You shall not leave," he said coolly. "I have something to say to you." Don John gave a bow towards the Queen, then, drawing Andirio with him, left the hall through the door by which he had entered, and his 20 men followed. Lenore rose to her feet, and, staring after them with eyes wide in fear, stood like a statue. Outside the hall, the Master of Aviz pushed Andirio into a nearby room and towards an open window, seized his dagger, and struck at Andirio's head. The Count was wounded, but not mortally. He ran, bleeding, towards the hall, and Don John, who was not typed for an assassin, and had done what he thought a necessary deed so badly, stood blanched and remorseful. As Andirio came into the hallway, he was met by Nuno's uncle, Rai Pereira. At once, grasping the wicked Count, Rai drew his own dagger and pierced Andirio through the heart. Quickly coming to himself, the Master of Aviz had followed to the hall. Seeing what had happened, he immediately ordered all the doors of the palace to be locked, and sent a page through the city streets, crying, "Run, everyone, to the palace! They are killing the Master of Aviz." This was the prearranged signal by which Alvaro Piez would know that he should leave his house and stir up public sympathy for Don John. In a moment, the waiting ex-chancellor of old King Peter was on his horse, and the people saw his familiar figure gliding through the streets and heard him crying, "Run to help! Run to the help of the master! Everyone! He is the son of King Peter, and they are killing him! Andirio is killing him by order of the queen!" The populace, who hated both queen and count, poured from houses and shops, and the cry was taken up with increased fury from one end of Lisbon to the other. Following Pays, they ran to the palace. The gates were barred. "Set fire to the gates," some yelled. "Break them down." Those within the palace, overcome by suddenness of it all, and stricken with fear at the vehemence of the mob, cried from the windows and balconies, "The master lives! It is Andirio who is dead!" The maddened crowd demanded to see him. From where he had been watching the crowd and the shadow of the balcony over the gate, Don John now stood forth, raised his hand, and shouted, "Be assured, my friends, I am safe and sound, thanks be to God." Delirium reigned. The people called for him. When he came down, they raised him on high and carried him in triumph to the palace of the Admiralty. The coup was successful. Admiralty. That's the end of chapter 6. Then chapter 7, the leader of Portugal's armies. And I'm going to pause there. You're welcome. Thank you.